Hello everyone. Ever notice that your first sketch of the day is always a bit wonky? In drawing, painting, or any art, a proper warm up or a proper exercise is needed for the best results and improvement. Doing some simple exercises before you bring out the fancy paper and start to create your next masterpiece can make all the difference to your work, I promise. In this video, I am going to show you top 10 exercises that will improve your drawing abilities and the exercises which helped me in my artistic journey. So let's dive into the video. If you are new to this channel, please do subscribe and press the bell icon for more art content like this. Exercise 1. Lines. The first order of business for any good warm-up practice is usually lines. You will be surprised how wonky they can be for the first few minutes. Draw your lines towards you and away from you, from left to right and vice versa. Try different angles too, since some are much harder to do than others. You can try to draw a succession of parallel lines all the same distance from each other. Alternatively, you can also make some lines intentionally squiggly. Exercise 2. Swirls and loops. I love doing this exercise, it's ever so much fun to do. While this isn't necessarily a shape you will come across in many of your drawings, doing a few simple swirls and loops is great for physically warming up that stiff shoulder of yours. Third exercise. Squares and rectangles. If you like drawing architecture or really anything man-made, chances are you will come across a lot of parallel lines, so we will need to practice that. Draw rectangles and square as fast as possible, but try to keep the opposite lines as parallel as possible. Exercise 4th. Circles. It's basically impossible to draw a perfect circle without additional tools, but that doesn't mean we can't try. Draw them big and small, clockwise and anti-clockwise. See if you can avoid the little overlap where you start and end the circle, as it always make it look a bit unclean. By the way, to save paper you can totally draw over the same circle again and again. Exercise 5th. Ellipse. You would be surprised with how many ellipses we are dealing on a daily basis, even if we don't always explicitly notice them. Glasses, bottles, lampshades, archways, anything that is a circle if viewed from straight, or will turn into an ellipse if viewed from an angle. And let me tell you, those things are more difficult to draw. You can sketch them very narrow or almost circular, and in the beginning you can use center lines to help you get the shape symmetrical. Sixth exercise. S shapes. An exercise I do especially before every figure drawing session. Lots of S-type shapes there, such as the waist of a woman, the line from the shoulder to the elbow, but you will also see it in other things such as rivers, jugs, or many decorative elements of old buildings. A little practice of it make you more fluent in drawing interesting sketches. 7th exercise. Pencil pressure. The best part about using a pencil for drawing is that you can adapt pressure and angle to incorporate different levels of darkness as well as a crisp or fuzzy lines all in one sketch. But if you haven't drawn for a while, you are likely to use the pencil like you are using a pen for writing, with way too much and always the same pressure, which can result in flat and boring sketches. Playing around a bit with your pressure and handling during the warm up will do wonders for your artistic style later. Eighth exercise, cubes. You know how it's helpful for your art to imagine things as geometric shapes. In order to make full use of that idea, it's great if you can draw cubes in 2 points perspective from any angle. Yes, that's very difficult for a beginner and might have to read upon the technicalities beforehand. But if you ever want to draw from your imagination or indeed excel at drawing what you see, it's also a crucial skill that's best practiced early on. Don't worry if you don't get it right in the beginning. Your cubes will likely look slightly distorted for a while until you gain enough skill and experience to get the angles just right. And that's fine, that's what these exercises are for. Exercise 9th, Spheres. Spheres with crossing lines are a bit more advanced than your two-dimensional circles, but still very doable even for beginners, especially if you know the trick. The trick is draw a circle, draw a cross inside the circle, dividing into 4 equal parts. Keep the lines very light, the angles of the cross doesn't matter. Draw a dot anywhere with one of the 4 divisions you have created. Draw an ellipse through the dot that's symmetrical on both sides of one of the lines of the cross. Draw another ellipse through the same dot that's symmetrical on both sides of the other line. It might sound super complicated just now, but give it a go, and you will see the principle is actually quite simple. In the end, it will look just like a ball with 2 elastic bands wrapped around it. Once you have practiced this a few times, you will find that you don't actually have to draw the lines or dots. You can just imagine them and still get the spheres right. Exercise 10th, Cylinders. Cylinders is one form or another can be observed in our everyday life as glasses, pipes, arms, tree branches. So they are a worthwhile warm-up before almost any drawing session and very useful as a standalone practice. Imagine you are drawing a tin can of some sort from various different angles. You can stick to a simple 2-point perspective, or you can spice things up and go 3-point with some nice foreshortening. Remember, it's perfectly fine to draw center lines for a little additional help. Cutting cylinders. I promise this super difficult looking exercise will only be tricky for a little until you have understood the principle. After that, it's super easy and very beneficial indeed, especially if your goal is to draw from imagination one day. When you practice your cylinders, imagine what it would look like if you were to cut out a corner of it. Then try to draw it that way. Have the cutouts big or small, font or big. If you have trouble with this, try to think of cylinders as being built of many separate pieces. I hope you enjoyed these drawing exercises. For more art related content, please do subscribe and press the bell icon.